Good morning, everyone, and this is Doug Waddell. I am so excited to be sitting with you and looking forward to having a wonderful conversation. Today we have Dr. Margaret-Mary Sulentic Dowell, and we're so excited to have her. We're going to be talking about So You Want to Attend Graduate School. Dr. Dowell, great to see you. Tell us about yourself and your programs.
Well, good morning, Doug. It's good to see you too. I really miss seeing your face.
Good morning, likewise.
So I am what you call a career educator. And I think it's important for you to understand what many of the faculty at LSU can bring to you. So as an example, I was a public school teacher for 15 years. And then I decided to go for higher ed. And I had a wonderful 3 years in a neighboring state. And then I was called and I answered. And I was the assistant superintendent for elementary schools in East Baton Rouge Parish, which is a decidedly urban district.
Yes.
And after 4 years as an assistant superintendent and weathering Katrina, I made the decision to return to higher ed. So I've been at LSU since 2006, and I've been involved in teacher education. But right now I am the coordinator of the PhD program in educational leadership, and that's specifically PK-12 leadership.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So I know you're doing the ed leadership thing. You've done so many other things, but something exciting that you've just begun is the instructional coaching certificate. Tell us about that.
Okay, and I am hoping that the screen share works. If not, anyone who listens to this can contact either Doug or myself. But we developed a certificate in instructional coaching. And this is in response to teachers becoming leaders. And what I'm showing on the screen, or attempting to show right now, is basically the instructional coaching certificate courses, and there are 4 courses. It's a total of 12 graduate hours. 2 of the courses, so half of the hours, are housed in curriculum and instruction. And those 2 courses are promoting instructional coaching and advancing teacher leadership. And in those 2 particular courses, enrolled students learn how to work with adults. And so we have many really good teachers of children. It's a whole nother ballgame when you work with adults. The other 2 courses are in educational leadership, research, and counseling, which is an arm, so to speak, of the School of Ed. And those 2 courses, the second 6 hours, are school improvement and action research. And school improvement is a very necessary topic in today's educational world, as well as an internship. And that internship is really, really interesting in terms of students who are enrolled being able to get their feet wet in the leadership area. All of them are 100% online. We start the sequence every summer, and students can complete it. They can complete these 12 hours within 2 semesters. Most of them elect to go for 3 semesters. So you take 2 classes in the summer, they're rigorous, they're concentrated, and then you take the other 2 courses in the following fall and spring. And Doug, one of the, I think, really good things about this is not only do you end up with a certificate from Louisiana State University, but if you are a practicing teacher, you can apply for an add-on endorsement in the state of Louisiana. Then you have that on your background, that you are certified by Louisiana State University. Again, it's very rigorous, it's very compacted, but most of the students that come out of this have a much better appreciation for how to work with other adults with the end goal of increasing student achievement.
So Doc, tell us what type of person would get into the instructional coaching program?
We have a lot of teachers who choose to do that, and those are teachers that are in traditional schools, teachers that are teaching in private and parochial schools, and we also have a large number of teachers that are in charter schools. And so those are individuals that love to teach, but want to help their colleagues, want to help other teachers improve their pedagogical practices. And so that's the focus. We have curriculum directors who choose to do this. We have coaches, so such as a literacy coach or a math coach or a data coach. And then we've also actually had assistant principals and principals take this sequence as well.
Wow. And you know, this would be wonderful, obviously, for those who are doing the shadowing and working with teachers in classrooms. This is an amazing tool.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I don't want to scare anybody away, but typically we conduct it in anything from a 3-week segment to a 7-week segment. Wow. So if you're looking to really accelerate your graduate program, this might be an option for you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we know this is a wonderful thing. We're glad that you started this program. So I'm excited also to hear about our Ed Leadership program now. Talk to us about that.
Okay. So I'm hoping that this will come up. If not, again, you can always ask. Our Ed Leadership program, our PhD in educational leadership, and you are also able to earn a master's degree in Ed Leadership at Louisiana State University 100% online. And my dear colleague, Dr. Carlos Lee, Carlos was a former high school principal in the Dallas area, again, a large urban district. He is in charge of coordinating the master's program in Ed Leadership. Again, I want to really stress that we can guarantee that if you stick with the master's program, you can complete it in 3 to 4 semesters.
Wow.
All of Dr. Lee's courses are offered asynchronous and in 7-week modules. So you can take as many as you can afford and as many as your life affords you to take. So we recognize that most of our students who pursue the master's degree in Ed Leadership are practicing educators. We understand you have full lives, and we also understand you probably have pretty full home lives. So he is a wonderful person in terms of working with you. He accommodates differences. And in addition to that master's, if you are looking to go back to graduate school and you already possess a master's degree, we offer what is called an educational specialist.
Okay.
And that's really an interesting sort of degree. It's to take a deeper dive into school leadership. Gotcha. And it really is, again, when you think about an audience, it's for someone who might already be a principal, someone who might be an assistant principal. And in many states, because we do not just serve the great students in Louisiana, but in many states, what that represents, and this is the practical side of Margaret-Mary coming out, is many districts have a step program in terms of how you are compensated. And so usually it starts with BA plus 30. Our master's program is 36 hours, so you could get that additional pay. And then there's BA or master's plus 30. So you could come back and you could work on your ed specialist and realize a pay bump, so to speak. So not only are you getting a lot of pedagogy and information and knowledge about how to be a better leader, but you're also being compensated for that.
Wow. Well, that's always a good thing.
It is. In today's economy, and I have to say in our current environment, I've never noticed such an appreciation for our teachers. I think that everyone who was homeschooling, not by choice, has begun to understand, wow, if I had difficulty with my 2 or 3 children and maybe a couple of nieces or nephews, what's it like in a classroom of 30? So, we're just hoping that people who listen to this will really think about how they want to grow as a professional and how we can help them in that growth trajectory.
Absolutely. So let me ask you, what, I get this question all the time, but what is the research and writing expectation of one of your grad students, one of your PhD students?
Okay, well, we are in a College of Human Sciences and Education, and so first and foremost, we use the American Psychological Association, or APA, style of writing, which I think is a very user-friendly and consumer-friendly style of writing. We have expectations that students can express themselves both verbally and in the written format. And most of our courses involve a great deal of reflective type of writing, as well as writing that requires students to perhaps read an article or a book chapter and be able to summarize that information and cite it accordingly, so that your citation is not suspect, that you are either clearly giving credit to the author, or what you're doing is actually directly quoting from that author. We build our programs, and so I'm going to talk for a minute about our PhD programs. And our PhD programs at Louisiana State University in the School of Education only have 2 required courses. And the first one is called Introduction to Scholarship in Education. And students receive, I think, a good grounding in what is required in terms of writing. Writing's an acquired skill. It's not something that you're born learning how to do. You get better with practice. It's like your golf game. It's like football. It's like fishing. It's like riding a bike, whether it's a pedal bike or a motorcycle. You get better with practice. And so we understand that about our students. We truly do. But one of I think the great things about a PhD program in the School of Ed is we also, unlike other universities, don't look at past hours as old. We look at all learning as viable. So you may go to some universities and they may say, sorry, but you took this class over 5 years ago. You have to replace it with something current. We don't do that at LSU in the School of Ed. We value all learning. So many of our students that transfer in are able to transfer in their entire master's program. And that's individual. That's individual, Doug. So not everybody, I'm not saying that every advisor will take all 36 or 38 hours, but I would say that about 90% will sit down with the student and say, you took this, you took this, you took this, you took this. So on an average 90-hour PhD program, if you have a master's, you now have 1/3 of your hours earned.
Wow.
That's pretty, that's a pretty nice consideration.
Absolutely.
We also work with, and this is just the structure of our university, there is a graduate school, and so any student would apply. Our application procedures are 100% online. We don't deal with a lot of paper, but that means that you have to figure out how to transmit, for example, a transcript from another university to the graduate school. And that's really not a difficult process. There are people in the graduate school, and that's all that they do is deal with transcripts. We ask you to submit a writing sample. And so that's an opportunity for faculty like myself, and maybe sitting down with Dr. Lee, who I've mentioned, and other faculty members, to look at a student's writing and say, okay, they've got great ideas. Maybe we need to provide some additional exposure to transitions or how to cite appropriately, like I mentioned. But we're very open to all students that want to come and learn with us. We value knowledge, whether it's the knowledge you've acquired living or the knowledge you've acquired at another institution. We really value personal knowledge.
I love it. I love it. So let me ask you this. We talked about writing and we talked about the value system that we have. Now, a lot of grad students, especially master's students and those who want to get a PhD, they like to go to conferences. Now, are conferences supported in this program?
Absolutely. In fact, we encourage students in many of the courses that you would take, whether you're working on a master's degree or an ed specialist or a PhD, there are opportunities to prepare proposals for conferences. I have a term that I call, it's called low-hanging fruit. And so by low-hanging fruit, I tell my students, conferences generally put out a call about a year to 8 months to 6 months prior to that conference. And so you submit a proposal. And in many courses and with many of my colleagues, we work with students on those proposals. So they get to go to a conference, they get to network with other doctoral students, they get to experience their field of choice, so to speak. So whether it's the International Literacy Association or the National Council of Teachers of English, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, or the grandmother of them all, the American Educational Research Association.
Yes.
We work with our students to be ready to join as full scholars.
That's great. So here comes the big question. I'm sure you hear this all the time. So what about funding for an education? You know, we know that many of our students have ideas they want to go. What types of funding are available for potential students?
We have an array. We have everything from full scholarships, and that would be for students who make the decision that I want to go to school full time. And that's not an easy decision. I remember doing that with 2 children in middle school. I had to plan for it, but also you can get a graduate assistantship. And that graduate assistantship requires you to provide about 20 hours per week to whomever you are attached. So for example, anyone that works with me that gets assigned to me, I certainly don't give them what I call grunt work. I give them activities and opportunities to learn about scholarship. We also have partial scholarships. And this is specific to Louisiana, but I know that other states have this. And so that would be incumbent. The onus is on our future students to figure this out. So for example, in Louisiana, we have a Louisiana Board of Regents program called CTEP, C-T-E-P. And that is only for educators. And what it does is you apply and you automatically have your tuition paid for.
Wow.
Not your fees. So universities run on fees. And so there's a technology fee, but that gives you access to all your courses. That gives you access to a librarian that's attached to the college who can work with you on writing as well. Some of our fees, our student fees, support student government. Some of our student fees support what are referred to as minor sports. Now, I don't think any sport is a minor, but for example, they might support the volleyball team because the major sports like football and basketball are able to generate huge amounts of revenue just by ticket sales. We're going to be challenged in the months to come to see how that all works out. But there are opportunities, and we have a very active scholarship committee. And anyone who contacts me, I can put you in contact with both the staff and the faculty who people that committee, and they can say whether it's a Hewell-Perkins scholarship, whether it's a McKnight or a McNair scholarship, whether it's something that's specific to a certain category of individual. We have people that have left money to the university that are concerned about education. So it would be a matter of doing your homework and figuring out, how can I pay for this? How can I accommodate this in my life?
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. All right, so I think now we've covered getting in, we've covered getting the finances. Now I think what people want to know, our grad students always say this. So how do I get a job? And is there job placement assistance? And where have some of your former students gone to do their work once they've gotten their degrees?
Okay, so I think a question everyone needs to ask themselves is, what can I and what do I want to do with a graduate degree? If you are a practicing educator and you want to move into leadership, that's a good reason to get an advanced degree. If you're a teacher and you want to become a guidance counselor, that would be a great reason to come to LSU and work with our school counseling program. If you love math, and I know that there are math lovers out there, remember, I'm literacy, I'm numeracy, I'm not numeracy, I'm literacy. You have an opportunity to look at that particular field. And what that allows you to do is to sort of sample the faculty that are available to you and to partner with different faculty at different junctures and to really think about what you can do with your advanced degree. So if I start with a master's degree, I couldn't even count them at this point because I've been at LSU since 2006, that have gone from being in the classroom to being, for example, instructional coaches, that have become curriculum directors, that have become leaders within their district. I even have a couple of former students that are now assistant superintendents. Wow. Like I did. I tried to tell them that's really tough work.
Right.
But you know, it's a calling. You know, education is a profession. It's also a vocation, and I speak that from the heart. But we also have individuals that have gone on to do policy work. Some of them are working with some of the educational reform institutes across the United States. Some of them are in Washington, D.C., working with politicians. And then some of them, and it's interesting, I have one former doctoral student who formed her own LLC. And she is pulling down some really handsome chunks of money. She works across the United States right now, just because she and I recently published an article together. And so you will also enjoy that with the faculty at LSU. They want you to be successful. They want you to showcase your work, and they will work with you to get published. You'll be doing a lot of the work, but they will work with you. They'll be right beside you. So she's now working in 4 different states. And she had been delivering podcasts to a district in Maryland. Well, it couldn't have come at a more opportune time.
Wow.
I know this pandemic has been extremely stressful, but I also believe that any catastrophe that happens to us, there's a silver lining. And so she's now been offered a full-time job. She still resides in Louisiana. She has older parents. She's an only child, so she really can't go very far, but she is now working for a district in Maryland full-time while continuing to do all of the other work she's been doing. So wow. The short answer is we have students that moved up in districts. We have students that moved on and took charge of other districts. We have students that have been working in the private sector. We have a former student who's working with the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. So she is the education director. She took everything that she had acquired in terms of experience, bundled that, so to speak, with the advanced degree, and now she's working with a nonprofit on educational issues. And we do have people that are working with politicians. I'm not going to name those so you don't think that I'm partisan. But there's a lot you can do with an educational degree. Education is a necessary foundation for everything that we do. We often like to say that we're the profession that makes all other professions possible. So
Wow.
you are limited by your imagination and by your own desires.
Absolutely. Well, Doc, we certainly appreciate you. How can a student contact you if they want to get in contact you and ask you any questions?
Sure. S as in Sally, Dowell, 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 so SDOWELL at lsu.edu.
Thank you so much, Doc. We certainly appreciate you, Dr. Dowell. What an amazing program and what an amazing thing that you're doing, especially with the certificate programs. We're so excited for our future and just glad to be a part of this program. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Doug, and go Tigers.
Go Tigers. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.